The British political and economic landscape is imploding under the weight of two monumental scandals that threaten to redefine the nation's future. On one front, the countryside is ablaze with outrage as farmers, led by Clarksons farm stars Jeremy Clarkson, Charlie Ireland and Caleb Cooper, rise up against Labour's inheritance tax raid. A tax they claim will cripple the farming industry, destroy family legacies and devastate rural economies. On the other, Labour's new US ambassador, Peter Mandelson, has caused a firestorm of controversy by reaching out to Nigel Farage in a desperate attempt to broker diplomatic ties with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. This is more than just a tale of bad policies and questionable alliances. It's a high-stakes drama that could spell disaster for Labour's credibility, tarnish Britain's international standing, and send shockwaves through the rural and urban sectors alike. Hold on tight. This story is one of political betrayal, rural rebellion, and the reckless gambles of power players in over their heads. Main scandal. Plot Labour's inheritance tax raid has ignited fury across the nation's farming communities. At the heart of this scandal is a 20% levy set to target farms worth over £1 million, undoing long-standing exemptions that have protected rural livelihoods. Labour insists the measure will only affect a handful of farms, around 500, according to Treasury estimates. But critics, led by outspoken figures from Clarkson's farm, vehemently disagree. Charlie Ireland, a seasoned land agent and a key figure in the popular Amazon series, has painted a grim picture of the tax's potential impact. Writing in the Sunday Times, Ireland called it the worst crisis British farming has faced in decades. He warned that the policy could force over half of all farms to downsize, and as many as a third may collapse entirely. It's not just worse than COVID or avian flu, Ireland declared. It's worse than the war in Ukraine or foot and mouth disease. This is existential. The economic ramifications extend far beyond the farms themselves. As Ireland explained, every £1 spent by a farmer generates £7 in economic activity, supporting a web of industries including seed suppliers, tractor manufacturers, and food production companies. A collapse of small and medium-sized farms, he argued, would be catastrophic, not just for the countryside, but for the entire UK economy. The real-life stories emerging from this crisis are heart-wrenching. Ireland recounted the plight of a Stilton-producing dairy farmer who, unable to meet the looming tax demands, is emigrating to New Zealand with his family. Generations of tradition gone, Ireland lamented. And for what? A short-term revenue grab that destroys long-term sustainability. Jeremy Clarkson, never one to shy away from controversy, has taken the fight directly to Labour. In a fiery speech at the farmers' protest in London last month, Clarkson accused the government of betraying the backbone of Britain. If you want growth and investment, you don't tax farmers into oblivion, he said, urging Keir Starmer to admit his mistake and scrap the policy. Caleb Cooper, the young and energetic farmer who's become a fan favourite on Clarkson's farm, has also joined the cause. His social media posts have galvanised thousands of followers, turning the fight against the inheritance tax into a viral movement. With a second protest erupting in London earlier this month, it's clear that rural Britain won't go down without a fight. The battle isn't confined to fields and protest marches. Clarkson, Ireland and Cooper have hinted that the tax raid will feature prominently in the upcoming season of Clarkson's Farm, ensuring that millions of viewers worldwide will witness the unfolding drama. But with Labour showing no signs of backing down, the tension is only escalating. While Labour is grappling with an enraged countryside, another scandal is brewing, this time across the Atlantic. Peter Mandelson, freshly appointed as Britain's ambassador to the United States, has sparked controversy with his decision to enlist Nigel Farage in a bid to strengthen ties with Donald Trump and Elon Musk. It's a diplomatic gamble that has left political insiders and the public reeling. Farage, known for his polarising rhetoric and Brexit-era notoriety, is seen by many as an unlikely and unwelcome ally for a Labour government. Yet Mandelson, ever the pragmatist, sees Farage's close relationships with Trump and Musk as crucial assets in averting a potential economic disaster. The stakes couldn't be higher. Trump has already hinted at imposing punitive tariffs on British exports, a move that could cripple key industries. Meanwhile, Musk, who wields immense influence over global trade and technology, has been an outspoken critic of Starmer's Labour government. Mandelson's strategy has sparked intense debate. Speaking on his podcast, Mandelson defended the decision to work with Farage. "You cannot just continue this feud indefinitely," he said. "Swallow your pride, build bridges, and do what's necessary for the good of the country." But not everyone is convinced. Critics within Labour have slammed the move as hypocritical and desperate, while Trump's campaign team dismissed Mandelson as an absolute moron for his earlier comments branding Trump a white nationalist. Farage, for his part, has embraced the opportunity. Flying to the US last week, he met with Musk to discuss the future of UK-US relations. The optics of these meetings, however, have done little to soothe concerns at home. Labour's core supporters are questioning why their leaders are turning to Farage, a figure who has built his career on opposing everything Labour stands for. Mandelson's efforts have been further complicated by Musk's unpredictable nature. While Farage's influence may help open doors, it's unclear whether Musk, a self-styled contrarian, can be swayed by Labour's overtures. His disdain for government interference and his sharp critiques of Starmer suggest that this diplomatic mission is far from guaranteed success. Within Labour, the fallout is palpable. While some argue that Mandelson's willingness to engage with Farage shows political savvy, others see it as a betrayal of Labour's principles. GB News commentator Nigel Nelson has argued that Mandelson must tread carefully. "Farage knows Trump better than anyone," Nelson said, "but aligning with him risks alienating Labour's base." Back home, the protests against Labour's tax policies are growing louder. Farmers, bolstered by support from Clarkson's farm, are mobilising on an unprecedented scale. Placards denouncing the inheritance tax were a common sight at the most recent demonstration, where speakers called out Labour for abandoning the rural communities they claim to represent. Meanwhile, the diplomatic scandal is also reaching a fever pitch. Mandelson's unorthodox approach has become fodder for opposition MPs, who accuse Labour of floundering on both domestic and international fronts. With Trump's likely return to the presidency and Musk's influence looming large, Labour's ability to navigate these crises will be a defining test of its leadership. The two scandals, though seemingly separate, share a common thread: a sense of disconnection between Labour's policies and the realities facing the people they govern. In the countryside, farmers feel abandoned by a government they once hoped would champion their cause. Across the Atlantic, Labour's overtures to Farage and his allies seem to signal a party willing to compromise its values for short-term gain. As the inheritance tax protests gain momentum and Mandelson's diplomatic mission unfolds, one thing is clear: Labour is at a crossroads. Will they double down on their current trajectory, risking further backlash? Or will they pivot, acknowledging the missteps that have brought them to this precarious point? For farmers like Charlie Ireland and public figures like Jeremy Clarkson, the stakes couldn't be higher. For Peter Mandelson and Labour's diplomatic corps, the risks are no less significant. This is more than just political theatre. It's a battle for the heart and soul of the UK's future.